Sakshi TV's immigration show with attorney Miss Prashanti Reddy from Law Offices of Prashanti Reddy PLCC. Without any further delay, let's welcome Ms. Prashanti Reddy Garu onto our show. Hello, Prashanti Reddy Garu. How are you doing?
I'm good, Andy. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. So, before we get on to the topic, are there any new immigration updates that we are supposed to know?
Yes, so I can start with the topic and then do some of the updates I will cover after I do the topic, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Can you just brief us a little bit about the topic?
Yeah, so we're talking about H-1B registrations and H-1B cap. Since this is the need of the hour, we're the registration period is coming up on March 6th. And it's an important date. March 6th to March 22nd is when it closes. It's an important date because it comes only once a year. So it's very important, I think, to apprise our viewers of what is going to happen with the present cap. There have been a lot of changes with reference to that. Also, I thought I'll talk about the fee increase. USCIS has increased its fee for most petitions, and I wanted to talk about mainly again the H-1Bs, since again this is cap season, so I think that is what will most interest our viewers. Also, some changes, some updates, as you were suggesting, I will give those updates as well.
Okay.
Time permitting, whatever time permits.
Okay. So let's start with what is the H-1B cap registration process this year?
So with reference to the H-1B cap registration, there's a new H-1B registration final rule that takes effect on March 4th. And there are several interesting features in this rule. The first is this year, registrations will be beneficiary centric. So the selection process will be beneficiary centric. That is, USCIS will select by unique beneficiary rather than by registration. So they will actually look at the beneficiary's passport ID number and select based on that. And the reason they're doing it this way instead of selecting by registration is so that this new system is designed to reduce the potential for gaming the system and make it more likely that each beneficiary will have the same amount of chance of getting selected regardless of how many registrations they file. So last year it was a mess because about 780,000 registrations were filed, more than double, almost double of what were filed last year, the year before. And to my understanding, beneficiaries filed not just multiple, not just 2 registrations, but some beneficiaries even filed 25, 50, and their beneficiaries that filed even 100 registrations because they were trying to improve their chances of getting picked. And the more number of registrations you file, the more chances of getting entries into the lottery, and then the more chances of being picked. So in order to avoid or to remove the incentive for multiple registrations, last time, as I was saying, it was a mess. So many registrations were filed, and then finally 180,000 were picked, and even then, they had to have 2 lotteries because people didn't file because they were filing multiple registrations. So it kind of reduced the integrity of the system. And so USCIS decided to go with, each beneficiary only single entry into the lottery. So I think this is a much better system. So now the beneficiaries will no longer have the incentive to file duplicate registrations because there's no chance of getting any benefits of doing that. Some beneficiaries might still file duplicate registrations because they want to pick the best job offer possible, which is fine. It's a free market, so that's a good way of doing it. And so that they can pick the employer that's giving them the best incentives, best salary, and best working conditions. So there will still be some duplicates, but not like last year. Last year, out of the 780,000 registrations that were filed, 400 plus thousand were duplicates. So more than half of the registrations filed were duplicate. So this year, we're hoping that with this new beneficiary-centric process, we can avoid duplicate filings of registrations. That's what USCIS is hoping, at least. As a result of which, USCIS will require registrants to provide a valid passport information. So you have to have a valid passport or a valid travel document, and you have to put your passport or travel document number into the registration process, into the system, into the form. And last time, the passport information was not required. It was not compulsory, so a lot of people didn't do it. This time it is compulsory, so all of you out there who want to file registrations, make sure that you have a valid passport. And also make sure that you use the same passport if your registration is picked, if your lottery is picked, and if you file the H1, if it gets approved, make sure you use the same passport to enter into the country. If you're already in the country, make sure you use the same passport to file for your H-1B petition. If you're not, for some reason, you have a new passport because your old one has expired, make sure you include both the passports. And if you're traveling, travel with both the passports. So it's very important. Another change in the registration process is start date flexibility. Previously, you had to put a start date of October 1. And even though, and USCIS, like a few years before, when we were putting a start date after October 1st, because the petition was actually being filed after October 1st, they actually rejected some petitions and we had to resubmit them. And, then they finally agreed to look at those petitions. So it was a mess. So they are now codifying that, and they're saying that the start date for H1 has to be October 1st or after. It has to be October 1st or after because the fiscal year actually starts on October 1st and we're filing 6 months in advance. So April 1st is when H1s are being allowed to be filed, and October 1st is the start date. And since we're allowed to file 6 months in advance. So now they're saying you can, as long as you file 6 months ahead and not more than 6 months ahead, the start date can be October 1st or later. So for example, if you file your petition in June, your start date could be December because that is within 6 months and it's after October 1st. So that's an example of how that will play out.
Okay.
Another feature of this new H-1B registration, another change is that now they're codifying the integrity measures, meaning USCIS will have the ability to deny or revoke H-1B petitions where the underlying registration contained either a false attestation or was otherwise invalid. So, which means that if there was no valid job offer and someone files a registration and USCIS finds out about it, they can revoke the registration. They can deny the H-1B petition if it was filed, or they can revoke an approved H-1B petition even after it's approved. So this is something they've codified, so they're now able to do this. Registration can be invalid also if the fee associated with the registration doesn't go through or is declined or is disputed. Something happens with reference to the fee and the $10 fee doesn't get paid. Another change in this year's registration is that they have a new organizational account starting from today, actually, February 28th. The new organizational accounts will open up. So if you already have an account, if you log in today, you will be prompted to create a new organizational account. I hear it's pretty simple. I haven't actually gone and done it, but since it just started today and I have been doing webinars all day today. But I believe based on what my office staff have told me, it's pretty easy. There are prompts that will tell you exactly what to do. The beauty of these new organizational accounts is that you can create multiple users. So you can have multiple admin and you can have multiple users as well. USCIS has said that at least you should have at least 2 admins, so that if you're locked out of one account, if because of some issue with the email, or because that employee leaves, or you lose the you don't know what email address was used, then you'll at least have one admin account, one other admin account, and this way you will not lose access to your account. So it's important to have at least more than one admin account. You can have multiple users. This way, multiple people can log in at the same time and do your registrations. This is especially important for big companies where they're doing, hundreds of registrations. Or if you have offices, in India, and you have offices here, and your staff is working from both office sites, it's easier for them to, do this simultaneously. The another advantage of these new organizational accounts is that you can actually track the multiple registrations. With reference to registrations, please remember that one company cannot file more than one registration for the same beneficiary. But sometimes, especially companies doing multiple registrations at the same time, they may not notice, they may do it by mistake. I had a client last year that did the registrations on their own, and they interchanged the name of the person, like the order of the first name, last name, middle name. So they didn't realize that it was the same person, and they filed 2 registrations for the same person. With the new organizational account, if you've already registered for some people, and if you're trying to do a new registration, it will alert you if it's a duplicate registration. But however, keep in mind that if you have a list of registrations and you're submitting all of them at the same time, in that list, if there are duplicates, there will not be an automatic alert. Instead, you'll have to download. There is a CV form that can be downloaded in the system, and you can download it and then check easily for duplicates, or you can download an Excel. It's like an Excel sheet. You can download it and check for duplicates and do it that way. So very important to use that feature so that you don't file duplicates. If you file duplicates, both registrations will be treated as invalid. Even if the H-1B is approved, without them noticing, USCIS noticing it, they will later on revoke the H-1. Just to keep in mind, even though these new organizational accounts have started today, you cannot actually enter information into the account. You cannot start a registration until the first day of the registration, which is March 6th. So you have to wait until March 6th to start a registration. Also, your fee for registration is still $10. It will become $215 next year, but for this year it's still $210. And just to remind you that the registrations open up on March 6th of this year, and they close on March 22nd at 12 noon. Not 12 at night, but 12 in the afternoon. So please make sure you do your registrations well ahead of that. In fact, I would suggest you do your registrations in the first week that it opens, so that if there are any issues with reference to payment, etc., and the case gets rejected, you have time to again file your registration within the March 22nd period. If you get a rejection after March 22nd, there's nothing you can do other than wait for next year to file the registrations. So that's some information with reference to H-1B registrations.
Okay. Ms. Prashant Reddy Garu, how do they select the registrations for H-1B cap lottery?
So they will do a lottery based on the passport number. So they will take out all the passport IDs from the system, and they'll put that into the lottery.
Okay.
They'll have a lottery based on that, and then they'll pick the computer. It's a randomized lottery process. So the computer will actually, pick the candidates. And once the candidates are picked, then they can file a H-1 through any of the companies. All the companies that filed, if they do more than one registration, All the companies that did a registration for them will be notified that their beneficiary has been picked. And so the beneficiary can decide to file H1s with all the companies, whoever has been picked, if it's more than one. And then afterwards, once the H1 is approved, then they can decide which company to join, depending on, which company they want to join.
Are there any exemptions and exceptions for the H-1B cap registrations?
Yes, they are actually. H-1B cap exempt organizations, of course. So if you're a H-1B cap exempt organization, that is if you are, for example, a governmental research organization or a not-for-profit research organization, you're cap exempt, right? If you are educational institution, higher education, like a university, then you're cap exempt. If you are a non-profit organization affiliated to a institution of higher education, for example, you might be a teaching institute, like a hospital, a teaching hospital, where the hospital itself is not a college, but they're affiliated to a university or a college, right? And they're allowed, they have a training program on behalf of the college. So that is again an organization that is cap exempt. So those are some examples of cap exempt organizations, and for those organizations you don't really have to file a registration. You don't have to file during the cap. You can file at any time. Also, if you have previously been counted towards a cap, then you don't have to file a registration again, even though you are not presently on a H1. As long as you were on a H1 sometime within the last 6 years, you are cap exempt. So those are some examples of who is cap exempt.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Can I change my employers if H-1B cap gets selected? After it gets selected, can I change my employers?
Once it gets selected, and once you file a petition, you have to first get an approval. You have to become cap exempt. Once you get an approval, then you can always file for a transfer of H1 from one company to another, right? But if you have not yet received a H1B approval, then you're not cap exempt. So then you'll have to file, if you're filing with the other employer, then that employer has to be either cap exempt or should have filed a registration for you.
Okay. Can I apply it even if it's not selected in the lottery? Can I apply the registration again?
If it's not selected, you can apply next year. You can't apply this year again, but you can apply next year.
Okay. How different is this method compared to the traditional H-1B process?
I mean, H-1B registration method has been there for the last few years, since 2021, I think. So the new registration process is different, as in the organizational accounts are a little different. I mentioned all those features earlier. So those features were not there previously. I believe it is, they've made it easier even to for the attorney and the client to connect on the account. So the client or the attorney can send each other an invitation, and it becomes very easy to connect. Previously, it was a little difficult. It was a process, 1 or 2 steps, where in order for the attorney to connect the client's account with their account. So now it's become easier. And also, as I was saying, that multiple users, that was not there before. So, these are some of the changes with the, recent organizational account.
What is the basic information that I need to provide during the process of registration?
When you're filing a registration, you pretty much have to provide the company, the company name, address, federal ID number, and then the beneficiary has to provide information such as the passport information, their passport number, their date of birth, the country of birth, the name, and whether we're filing under a master's cap or the bachelor's cap.
Okay. And what are the common reasons for the H-1B cap registration rejections?
Common reason is not paying the fee, or paying the fee, but it's not being, it doesn't get, the transaction doesn't go through with the bank, or something happens with the credit card. That's the most common reason why registration will be rejected. But sometimes registration can be rejected even afterwards, after they are submitted into the system, if they find out that there isn't a valid job offer when filing the registration. But that's rare for them to do that. Most common is really because of fee payment.
So can an employer submit multiple registrations with the same beneficiary?
No, cannot.
Okay. So is there anything else that you want to tell to our audience regarding the registrations?
So I was talking about, I think we're done with registration. I wanted to talk now about the online filing of forms. So as of today, also another event took place, that is USCIS has launched the online filing of I-129 and the associated premium processing form, etc. So for all non-cap H-1B petitions. For cap petitions, they're going to start it on April 1st, because that's when a cap petition can be filed. So this is huge, because if it works well, and we should wait and see how that system works. But if it works well, this will avoid, we don't need to mail large packages to USCIS anymore, to FedEx large packages anymore to USCIS. And, we will be able to get fee receipted immediately, get a receipt immediately. We will be able to file petitions the same day, especially in cases where, a person's status is expiring. So there are a lot of benefits. You'll get the approval online. There's no chance of the postal service or courier service losing your application. No chance of them losing the approval and the receipt. Though I understand that receipts and approvals will still be mailed, but at least we'll have a soft copy online, even if it gets lost by the postal service. So these are some of the pain points that we see, and so those will be eliminated by online processing. But it's not all good news, because we have to wait and see how the process works. It's not really online if we have to print out the forms and continue to do wet signatures and again upload the forms. So it's like double process of printing out and again scanning and uploading. So that's like double work for us as of now, unless they allow e-signatures. Then it'll be completely online. Then that'll make the system completely online. But as of now, because of these concerns, these issues, it's not completely online. It's still like a hybrid between having to print out documents. The only thing is we don't have to FedEx those documents. But unless they have sophisticated Adobe kind of features where you can collate documents and put them online, we'll still have to print and scan the document and make it into a PDF and then send it. So we're still not saving paper, unless, of course, employers and attorneys invest by themselves in some online document management kind of software. I'm hoping they'll integrate this in the USCIS website, but let's wait and see. In addition to that, I wanted to quickly talk about the USCIS fee rule. There's been an increase in the fee from $460 to $780 for anyone who has over 25 employees. The fee will now be $780 instead of $460. And they've also added a new asylum program fee of $600. So if you're an employee over 25 employees, if you're an employer who has over 25 employees, then you'll have to pay about $1,000 more for your H-1B. I believe there is likelihood of some litigation, especially for the $600 asylum program fee. This fee is, they're taking money from employers so they can run the asylum program. So that's what employers are not happy about. If you are a company under 25, then you only have to pay half of that asylum program fee, which is $300, not $600. And the USCIS fee of $460 remains the same. So if you're under 25, you're paying an additional $300 fee. Or a non-profit. 25, under, or non-profit. Payment processing fee also has increased to 2,800 and something, I believe, about $300 more from 2,500. So I think we are running out of time.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us on our show, and the information was really, really useful. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in. You're watching Sakshi TV with me, Nitya.